Pokemon is one of those series that everyone knows. I grew up playing and loving these games, but they were always a bit on the easy side. That's where challenge runs come in, specifically Nuzlocke challenges. Basically, in a Nuzlocke challenge, you can only catch the first Pokemon that you encounter per area, and if you fail to catch them, you just don't get a Pokemon in that area. Also, whenever one of your Pokemon faints, they are considered dead and you have to release them. Finally, you have to nickname your Pokemon, so that you build an emotional connection with them, which makes the potential pain of losing them even worse. There are plenty of other optional rules that can be applied to Nuzlockes, but these are the basics. It's the kind of challenge that requires you to actually think, strategize, and plan ahead with a balanced team, rather than just barreling through everything with your starter, like I usually do. So this will be a neat new experience for me. For my first Nuzlocke, I decided to go with one of the Kanto games, specifically FireRed. I also tacked on a few additional rules here. There's the Dupes clause, which means that if the first Pokemon I encounter in an area is part of an evolutionary line that I already own a Pokemon from, I can just try again with the next encounter. I also made a full party wipe a loss, partly to add challenge, but mainly because there's no way in hell that I'm building up a whole new team from scratch. Finally, I'm not catching legendaries, because doing something like going over to the power plant with a bunch of repels and master balling Zapdos would just be easy, boring, and remove a significant amount of challenge. Anyway, with introductions out of the way, let's see how my first Nuzlocke went. After Professor Oak treats me like an actual toddler, my rival Turdo and I go over to the lab to get our starter Pokemon. I went with Chungo the Bulbasaur, mainly to make the first couple gyms easier, and Turdo lived up to his name by counterpicking with Charmander. After taking out Turdo, I began making my way through Route 1, where Chungo was promptly taken out by a wild Rattata. God damn it! But it's okay, it's generally agreed that the Nuzlocke only really starts once you get your first Pokeballs, so the run's not dead right from the start. But we will remember this. After dropping off Oak's parcel and getting some Pokeballs as a reward, the Nuzlocke really began. My first encounter that I could possibly catch ended up being another Rattata, which Chungo critted to death. Serves you right, you rat bastard. On Route 2, I encountered a Pidgey, which I did end up catching. Welcome to the team, Burb. In Viridian Forest, I was hoping to get my hands on a Pikachu, but instead found a Caterpie. Well, better than nothing, I guess. Bug Boy joins the party. And of course, my next encounter ended up being Pikachu.
You think you're fucking funny, game?
As I was nearing the end of Viridian Forest, I remembered there's an optional rival fight back between Viridian City and the Pokemon League, so I decided to grind my party up to prepare, which was a long, arduous process and didn't become any less tedious as the playthrough went on. I'll say it right now, fuck grinding and fuck Kanto's EXP share being locked behind owning 50 Pokemon, making it borderline impossible to get in a Nuzlocke! Say what you will about the more recent Pokemon games' difficulty, but at least if I want my party to be around the same level in those games, I don't have to put everything on hold for hours on end just to get everyone up to speed. Anyway, after getting my team to an appropriate level, during which time Bug Boy evolved all the way into Butterfree, I went to fight Turdo and encountered another Rattata on Route 22, and Burb critted it. Cool! Anyway, I wiped the floor with Turdo's team, easy as that. With that little detour out of the way, it was time for me to hit up Pewter City's gym, where Chungo did exactly what I chose him for and utterly destroyed Brock's team. On Route 3, while I was busy getting into fights with children, Chungo evolved into an Ivysaur, and I caught a Spearow, aka Other Burb. I then proceeded to purchase a Magikarp at the Mount Moon Pokemon Center and named her Finny Fun. Afterwards, I entered Mount Moon without repels, meaning I was getting random encounters at about the rate of YouTube ads, and the first of those encounters was a Geodude, which I caught and named Rocky Road. After picking up an old meme, I exited Mount Moon and encountered yet another Rattata, which I finally caught. Fittingly, I named it Finally! However, something unfortunate happened in between recordings. I was grinding finally to get him on par with the team, and he ended up dying to another wild Rattata because I thought mine was faster and didn't heal. I still did the right thing and recorded myself releasing finally. I guess I'm just not meant to have a Rattata or Raticate, huh? Anyway, after grinding the rest of my party up, evolving Burb into Pidgeotto, it was time for another battle with Turdo. My team was able to beat him without problems, and I began the trip over to Bill's house. I then crossed the bridge with a bunch of roadblocks, trainers on it, and caught an oddish named Gunch, and encountered an Abra, who teleported away like a bitch. Amazing. After helping Bill with his invention that's basically a furry's dream come true, I made my way to the second gym, and I think you have a pretty good idea of how that went, given that I had the grass starter. It was at this point that I realized how well the run was going, aside from the one off-screen screw-up, and remembered that I could switch the battle style to set to make things harder. So I did just that. Sorry to any hardcore players who were triggered by my playing with Switch up to this point. On the way to Vermilion City, I encountered a Meowth, but had run out of Pokeballs, and I dropped Finny Fun off at the daycare. Many minutes of running back and forth later, because 1 step equals 1 EXP for Pokemon in the daycare, and Finny Fun evolved into a Gyarados, finally making her a valuable member of the team. I also taught her Water Pulse to give her an actual stab move, and for the potential to cause confusion. After making my way through the underground path, I encountered another Meowth, which Finny Fun unfortunately critted, and barged into a luxury cruise liner to go on a killing spree. You know, as all globe-trotting 10-year-olds do. Also, Turdo was here for some reason, and I proceeded to utterly body him yet again. Before going to Lieutenant Surge's gym, I decided to hit up Diglett Cave to try and get a ground type for further advantage, but Burb was a little overzealous against that tiny mole. Well, at least I managed to find an Ekans named Grace. The third gym still didn't pose much of a challenge thanks to Rocky Road the Geodude, who evolved into a Graveler while I was sweeping the gym. On Route 9 I found TM40, Aerial Ace, and taught that to Burb. Then I wasted a bunch of time trying to find an encounter from a species that I hadn't already caught, before looking up the random encounters for this route, and finding that I had already caught all of the species available here. So I decided to catch the next encounter that I found, which ended up being another Rattata. Amazing. For all that wasted time, I named it Nuisance, shoved it into the PC, and never looked back. Moving on, I caught a Voltorb and named it Spherical! Upon teaching Spherical Flash, I made my way through Rock Tunnel and encountered a Zubat, which Chungo unfortunately destroyed. Dude's just too bulky, I guess. Also, he evolved into Venusaur. In Lavender Town, I found Turdo and proceeded to sweep his team yet again. On the way to Celadon City, I caught a Growlithe named Bailey and a Meowth named Kim. When I got to Celadon City, I got an Eevee named Evan, and went over to Route 16 to catch a Doduo named Headford. Then I hit up the Celadon Gym, and Burb proceeded to sweep the whole thing, though Chungo needed to sub in for Erika's last Pokemon. With that out of the way, I began to raid the Rocket Hideout while grinding Evan up, trying to get him to learn Bite before evolving him. But then a coughing hit him with self-destruct and he died. Well, that's unfortunate. Guess I'm not getting a Jolteon on my team after all. I swept through the rest of the Rocket Hideout, fueled by a lust for revenge, before making my way to the big bad boss man himself, Giovanni. After blitzing his team, I got the Sylph Scope and made my way back to the Lavender Tower, where I caught myself a Cubone. And because I'm just the peak of maturity, I named him Boner Jones. With Team Rocket chased out of the tower, it was time for me to catch a Snorlax who was named Blunt. Not long after, I caught a Venonat who I decided to name Vlogto for some reason, and a Ditto named Skludge. In the Safari Zone, I caught an Execute named Onlet and got the Surf HM, which I used on Finny Fun. I then made my way to Saffron City to challenge the Fighting Dojo, during which time Burb evolved into Pidgeot. Upon beating the final challenge, I took the Hitmonlee and named him Tatsumaki. While I had multiple things to do now, I decided to take down Team Rocket as Silph-Co. I didn't have any trouble with the grunts throughout the facility, but then I ran into Turdo. Most of the battle went as normal, but when faced with his Charizard, I had Rocky Road use Rollout, not realizing that he would be locked into using it for a while afterwards. With Turdo's Charizard being faster than Rocky Road, using Flamethrower which dealt significant stab damage, and me being unable to heal Rocky Road, he ended up perishing. This is the hardest hitting death up to this point. Rocky Road had been on the team for the majority of the run at this point and was incredibly useful in multiple battles. I was really hoping he would get to be part of the team that would take on the Elite Four, but because of one lousy mistake on my part, he'll never get to see how far I go. Despite Finny Fun avenging him, I still can't help but feel that I failed one of my team's mainstays. The rest of this run is dedicated to you, Rocky Road. May you watch over us and bless the rest of this run. The guy in the same room as Turdo gave me a Lapras, who I named Paul. I then rushed to the Pokemon Center and added Bailey to the team to replace Rocky Road. With the rest of Silph cleared, all I had left to do was battle Giovanni again. Channeling the emotion of losing Rocky Road, I swept his team and got my hands on the Master Ball. Unfortunately, as I was grinding Bailey up in between recordings, he ended up dying, and I replaced him with Tatsumaki. Absolutely incredible. I headed to the Fuchsia City Gym next, since it was supposed to be easier than the Saffron City Gym. I got to Koga without issue and swept his team with Bug Boy, who had learned Psybeam and Confusion by now. With that done, it was time to tackle the Saffron City Gym. As I was going through the normal trainers, Bug Boy learned Silverwind, which helped him sweep Sabrina. Her Alakazam did give us a close call, but with a switch out to Glunt, we took the W. On the way to Cinnabar Island, I caught a Tentacool named Hentai, encountered a Horsea that Finny Fun unfortunately killed, and caught a Zubat named Bruce. In the Pokemon Mansion, I found a Coughing named Timothy, encountered a Shiny Coughing soon after, which was unfortunate, and found the key to the local gym there for some reason. Lane proved not to be a challenge because I had your girl, Finny Fun. During the pointless detour to the Sevi Islands, I failed to catch a Horsea, a Poliwag, and another Horsea, and caught a Hypno named Herbert. With the side quest out of the way, it was finally time for me to hit up the Viridian City Gym for the final encounter with Giovanni. Of course, Chungo and Finny Fun destroyed the ground-type party, and just like that, a 10-year-old child has toppled an entire criminal organization. On the way to the Pokemon League, Turdo came at me yet again and once more got decimated. Finally, with all 8 gym badges in hand, it was time to make my way through Victory Road. My final catch of the run was an Onix, which I decided to name after the man who initially inspired me to go on this journey, Alpharad. Upon reaching the Indigo Plateau, I made sure to get my team to the mid-level 50s so I could reasonably deal with the remaining opponents, but still keep them a decent challenge. After stocking up on healing items, it was finally time for my journey to come to an end. My first opponent in the Elite Four was the Ice-type trainer Lorelei, and I had Tatsumaki up front to take advantage of Ice-type's weakness to Fighting-type moves. He took down her Dugong with a single Brick Break, but then she sent out Slowbro, who's Water Psychic. With some secret powers and Mega Kicks, I got Slowbro to the point where Lorelei healed it, and after healing Tatsumaki from some damage, it only took a few more attacks to defeat the Psychic type. With Cloyster, I was able to take most of its health out with a Brick Break while it set up Hail. Though it protected a secret power, it wasn't able to land the second Protect, going down. Against Jinx, I switched out to Glunt, who got hit by an Attract. Though he wasn't able to land his first Strength as a result, his Body Slam did land and paralyzed Jinx, though Lorelei cured this with a full restore. Thankfully, Glunt's next Strength was a critical hit one-shot. For her final Pokemon, Lorelei sent out Lapras, who kept trying to drown me with Surfs even after getting paralyzed. Thankfully, it didn't serve as much of a challenge, and Lorelei was defeated. Next up was Bruno, who, despite being the Fighting-type trainer, opens up with Onix. I didn't expect this and had put Burb up front. I switched Burb out for Finny Fun and took Onix out with a single Surf. Bruno sent out Hitmonchan and I brought back Burb. He hit me with a Rock Tomb, which slowed Burb down enough that he was able to land a Sky Uppercut first. Thankfully, Burb lived with 9 HP and took Hitmonchan out with another Aerial Ace. Against Bruno's Machamp, I healed up Burb, and despite taking a speed decrease from Scary Face, took him down in 2 Aerial Aces. His Hitmonlee's first attack missed, and while Burb nearly one-shotted him with Aerial Ace, he was able to heal it in the next turn. Though he nearly took Burb out with a Brick Break, we were able to defeat him with another Aerial Ace. Bruno's final Pokemon was another Onix, who I switched in Chungo for. Despite missing his Razor Leaf and taking an Earthquake, Chungo defeated Bruno with a Giga Drain. Moving on to Agatha, the Ghost-type trainer, she opened up with Gengar, and I had Bug Boy at the front. Bug Boy went on a Psybeam onslaught while Gengar double-teamed and Shadow Balled, but despite surviving the second Psybeam and healing up, the fourth Psybeam critted and she went down easily. Next up was Golbat, who Confuse Raid Bug Boy. While I did cure the confusion, I was so focused on that I didn't realize that 1. The Golbat was faster than Bug Boy from their first interaction, and 2. Its Air Cutter after I healed was super effective. so I went to attack and Golbat used another air cutter, killing Bug Boy. Sorry buddy, that one's definitely on me. I switched out to Glunt, who I had taught Blizzard before starting the Elite Four, and despite getting confused, he avenged Bug Boy in a single hit. Agatha then sent out Arbok, and while Glunt powered through the confusion to land some body slams, he got his defense lowered by a Screech and had nearly half his health taken off by a Sludge Bomb. When I healed and the same attack did about the same damage, I decided to switch out to Finifun, who took the Arbok out in a single Surf. There was another Gengar who tried to put Finifun to sleep with Hypnosis. While she failed the first attempt, taking a Surf for her troubles, she landed the second one. Anticipating a move like Dream Eater, I woke Finifun up, which did cause her Nightmare to miss. She then put Finifun to sleep again, but when I used an Awakening this time, Gengar used Sludge Bomb. This interaction happened again, but I managed to confuse the Gengar with a Water Pulse and finish it off with a Hydro Pump. Finally, I had to deal with Agatha's Haunter, which went down to a couple Surfs, missing its only attempted attack. Now it was time to battle Lance, the Dragon-type trainer. He opened with Gyarados while I brought out Glunt. It took me a few turns to realize that Blizzard wasn't the best choice against Gyarados, so I started using Body Slam instead. While this did paralyze and nearly kill him, Lance used a full restore, and proceeded to kill an already weakened Glunt with a crit Hyper Beam. Well, there went my best chance against his actual dragons. I switched over to Chungo and finished the Gyarados off with some Razor Leafs and a Giga Drain. His Aerodactyl did significant damage with wing attacks, so I switched out to Finifun, who was able to take it out with a Surf. Against the first Dragonair, I admittedly forgot that Finifun knew Twister, which was super effective, and switched out to Burb. Burb was able to do significant damage with some Aerial Ace, and Dragonair used Outrage to the point that he became confused and killed himself. For the second Dragonair, I remembered Finifun's Twister being super effective to dragons, and switched her back in. We traded hits back and forth for a while, both ended up healing around the same time, went back to trading hits, and when I healed a second time, the Dragonair used Hyper Beam. One more Twister was all it took to take him down. The final Pokemon on Lance's team was his Dragonite, which I was pretty underleveled for, but the strategy was mostly the same as the previous mod. My Twisters didn't do much damage, and his Outrage was a major damage dealer, but I made sure to heal when I felt I was getting too low on health, and he got confused and hit himself a few times, so Dragonite was more of an endurance test than anything. Finally, I had one more obstacle to victory, and that was the champion, Turdo. It was do or die, win or lose, no matter what, this was the end. I started out with Finifun while Turdo sent out Pidgeot. This was no problem, a couple Surfs and a Hydro Pump were all it took to down the bird. Next up was Rhydon, who I switched Finifun out with Chungo for, which was a good idea considering the subsequent Rock Tomb. A Giga Drain was enough to beat the Rhydon and heal the damage taken. Alakazam proved to be a bit of trouble. While I switched back to Finifun, he set up Reflect, then used Future Sight while taking a Surf. After the next Water Pulse Psychic exchange, which got the Alakazam confused, I healed, but took enough damage from the subsequent Psychic and Future Sight that I needed to heal again, and Alakazam shook off the confusion. After taking a couple more hits and landing a Surf, I healed Finifun yet again, took another Psychic, and finished the job with a Hydro Pump. I switched over to Burb against Turdo's Executor, and immediately needed to heal thanks to a crit Egg Bomb. After taking another Egg Bomb, I hit him with an Aerial Ace and dodged a Sleep Powder. I then used Quick Attack since another Aerial Ace would likely bring Executor's health to the point where Turdo would heal him, and was hit with a Sleep Powder. I knew that Burb would survive even a critical hit from another Egg Bomb, so I took this opportunity to heal Finifun. His attempted attack missed, both before and after I full restored Burb, and I used another Quick Attack and was put to sleep yet again. After waking Burb back up and taking another Egg Bomb, all it took was an Aerial Ace to defeat him. A real problem presented itself in the form of Turdo's own Gyarados. He was dealing significant damage to Burb, and thanks to Intimidate, I wasn't doing much to him. I would hit a couple Aerial Aces, he'd hit with some Hydro Pumps, Dragon Rages, or Thrashes, and I'd heal. Eventually Turdo healed up as well, and one of his Thrashes landed a crit, killing Burb. I decided to switch over to Chungo, and the Gyarados became confused from thrashing. I used a few Razor Leafs, and Gyarados hit itself in confusion, killing itself. Finally, Turdo sent out his Charizard, both my first and final opponent of this run. I switched over to Finifun and hit him with a Water Pulse, hoping to cause confusion, which I did. With a combination of Charizard hurting itself in confusion and a crit surf from Finifun, I beat Turto's last Pokemon and became the new champion. And I just want to say that seeing a Butterfree as a part of a team that beat the Elite Four is funny to me. With that, I have completed my first Nuzlocke. There were highs and lows, fun and tedium, but in the end, I'm glad that I went on this journey. It was a bit easier than I was expecting, but as a fairly basic Nuzlocke, I suppose that's to be expected. And it's given me some ideas for future Nuzlockes, since I have many more regions to conquer. Nevertheless, for now, I shall relish in my victory and remember the fallen, as well as the friends I made along the way. Thank you for watching this video. This is my first serious foray into content creation, and I'm planning on doing a lot of different things with this channel, so there will be more variety than just Pokemon content here. If you enjoyed this video or have any criticisms, please comment down below. Politely. Special thanks to Alpharad, JaidenAnimations, and PokemonChallenges for inspiring me to try out a Nuzlocke, Nick Franco for creating the Nuzlocke challenge, and SarahB.net and Bulbapedia for providing information that helped me with the run.